beautiful weekend here at Phillip Island. We talk about the rip and tear nature of the racing that we've seen, but what about the wear and tear factor on the circuit? The circuit's spectacular. It's like the backdrop here. It'll hold up to anything, but a few pebbles here and there can really tip you over pretty quickly.
Yeah, and the pebbles are formed from cars running off the track, running out of road, and bringing it all back onto the surface. So as a driver, you need to be on your toes, you need to be ready for everything, and approach it as you get it.
Yeah, we referenced this yesterday, Stubbsy, didn't we? The beauty and the beast factor. The beauty's all around us. The beast is the devil in the detail that the track can throw up. Gee, there's been a fair bit of news around all categories so far today.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot to talk about behind these garage doors, I tell you what, especially at GRM, of course, we saw it earlier today in Trans Am with the teammates, Eden Thornborough getting into the back of Owen Kelly right when they were fighting for the win there. Also, if you may have noticed, in our TCR race today, Michael Clementi with that dive on the final lap. You may have seen in the background of the shot a little frosty the handshake there with Jordan Cox. So there's a bit happening in the background, and they're all back out on track still this afternoon, so plenty to come.
I saw that. He said all the right things to you. Fabs was waiting for a blow-up here, but it was definitely icy when the handshake took place. So there's been a fair bit of spice here across all categories. So GT World Challenge Australia next. So much interest in particular in one of our drivers here, and Stubbsy caught up with her, Renee Gracie.
Renee, welcome to the Speed Series. How's it feel to be back here racing at Phillip Island?
It's very exciting. It's surreal. I didn't think it would happen, but it's great to be here, and it's great to have the Speed Series welcoming me and wanting me here and letting me join this amazing category at this amazing location.
Who is Renee Gracie? Away from your online profile and away from a race car, who are you?
I would say Renee Gracie is just a normal person, to be honest. I think a lot of people have these preconceived ideas of me and who I am. I'm very low-key, very quiet, stick to myself, have my dogs, have my chickens, live on my little farm. I just love being in my own space and having my own little oasis of garden and mowing and animals and just being myself, really.
Is your mower stock standard, or have you tweaked the engine a little bit on that?
No, it's got modifications, definitely, but slightly bigger wheels. I can't put a bigger exhaust on it. I tried. Couldn't tune it. Can't get a turbo or anything, but it's always modified. Everything I own is slightly modified.
What's the response been like from your fellow competitors to have you back in the paddock again?
It's been really good. I don't think I could have asked for a better reintroduction. Everyone's been really, really great. I'm quite lucky, obviously. I know a lot of people. I used to race against a lot of people. I thought potentially there might be a few people that would have an issue, but everyone's been really welcoming, and I just think it's been better than what I probably could have expected, to be honest.
The car, it's certainly got people talking, hasn't it?
Yes, definitely. It looks good.
What's been the comments that you've had about the car so far?
Lots of comments, all sorts of different comments. I think a lot of people are just happy to see that it's allowed here and it's out here and it's running, and we're allowed to have the car looking like it looks, and we're also allowed to go racing as well.
What does success look like for you in this program?
I think just to get as many laps as I can, finish all the races, show up, show people that I'm serious, we're here, it's a normal operation, there's nothing to be scared about, there's nothing to be worried about. I'm just Renee Gracie going racing again. And I think to just get that credibility, get that respect, get the people sort of watching, whether it's spectators, fans, sponsors, competitors, realising that there's nothing too crazy or scary going on. I'm here to race, I'm here to have fun, and I think that would be an ultimate year for us.
Renee, welcome to the Speed Series and all the best of luck.
Thanks for having me.
Car 181 from position 16 for this race. Let's take you up to the commentary box, just to the right of our shot there, perched up high with a wonderful view, boys.
Matty, thank you, and a wonderful day for it as well. The drone has been operating at a high level today, at a low level there. That was outstanding. Really looking forward to this. The Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. It's round 3 of the championship, the 6th race of what's been an utterly compelling season, Rusty. There has been stuff going on everywhere. It was a great race yesterday. It rumbled on in the stewards well into last night, and we had a change of result as a result of that, and we get another 60 minutes to do it all again today.
And no doubt, Carl and the team might be a little on the busier side too, hopefully not too busy after this. So a little snapshot for you in terms of the guide to the classes that are represented in this series. So there are those that will drive older spec trophy cars. There are those with newer generation GT3 machines, and you can see that some of them have a driver ranking, a license ranking, if you will, and that determines who can pair up with who, doesn't it, Richard? And our co-commentator this race, I don't think he is seated, but he should be platinum because he's right at the very top. It's James Moffat.
Well, that 50...
Yeah. It's great to have Moff up in the box with us now. Stubbsy, looking forward to this one.
Absolutely. Liam Talbot came into this weekend as the champion in this series. Yesterday didn't quite go according to plan, but Fraser's out in the car now. What are you expecting?
Yeah, I mean, Fraser is getting better and better each session, and he's going to be really strong in this race. We don't carry the penalty, so each race, you know, you do well, you get handicapped in the next one, so it's all to and fro, but Fraser's going to do a good job. We get the free kick in the pit stop and maximum attack. I'm going to hustle that car and go on the attack. In terms of the championship, it's a crucial day, isn't it? It's too early to think about that. Just want to win every race, you know, and pole position. And, you know, we're getting some poles and race wins, like most race wins so far out of all the cars. So, you know, we've got momentum on our side, and let's see what happens. Charge forward. Good luck. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, hello to Charlie and the kids at home, I think is what Liam needed to say there. We're really looking forward to this. And, you know, he was making the point about the championship as we confirmed the grid. It kind of is important because this is the halfway point. It's only 3 rounds to go after this one. So qualifying 2 set the grid for this race, and it's just convenient that the team that got elevated to the win yesterday start from pole. So Jaden Ojeda will start car 101, the AMG Mercedes. Garnett Patterson behind the wheel of the 911 Porsche. Dylan O'Keefe will start the Audi from 3rd place, and Max Hoffer, a similar car from MPC, from 4th. Down the field, you can see the 2 marked cars there. Renee Gracie goes from 16th position. She won the trophy class yesterday. And as a result, again, after missing qualifying, Brenton and Stephen Grove start off the back of the grid. Moff, we loved yesterday. Loved your handiwork in the Trans Am race earlier, just quietly too.
Readiness for the race start.
And
about to get underway.
Sorry, Rusty, a little bit of contact there almost between Patterson and Ojeda as they roll around for the rolling start.
Very experienced pros, some emerging stars. Remember that penalty that kicked in for car 2 yesterday after the race? We'll unpack a bit more of that. We're in the starters' hands here. Cool bunch of cars, all bunched up and ready to be unleashed on a place that is perfect for them. Ojeda, nice start. Someone with just a couple of wheels brushing onto the grass. Look at this, Patterson gets the elbows out in the Porsche, swings on through and grabs the race lead.
Hard racing from Garnett Patterson, but gets the EMA Porsche in front. They are out for revenge today. Penalised yesterday for being too slow on the restart. 5 seconds, didn't just cost them the win, cost them a podium finish. So they want to get out in front, clear out, and then get as big a margin as they can before the mandatory pit stop in this race. I got a feeling that might have been Garth Walton with a couple of wheels off there on the start. I'm not sure. We'll confirm that for you.
Oh, awesome contact there with Max Hoffer and Ojeda. So Ojeda is super aggressive on the Audi there in turn 4 on the opening lap.
Got pretty wild in the 75 there as we were riding along too, didn't it? So back to our race leader, and Patterson has bolted nearly a second already in the pocket. So good work as a review, or after a review of the safety car restart yesterday. It was deemed that it hadn't been executed under the rules. They have a minimum 80k an hour speed limit. Ojeda's run wide there at MG corner.
He's all right. He's gathered it up, but he's thrown away more time, and Patterson's going to lead by almost 2 seconds on this race. Now, the thing you need to keep in mind, there's a mandatory pit stop time for every car, and if you succeed, that pit stop time gets longer. Now, while they got penalised, Carnival and the Porsche yesterday, they still get the penalty time for winning. So it's like a double whack on the wrist there for those guys. So they've got 121 seconds in pit lane. The minimum time's 106, so they're going to spend a long time in the lane.
7 positions gained already by Brenton Grove, up into 13th place. These guys had, Brenton and Stephen had a gearbox issue yesterday. Great work by the team to replace that, to recover from that, and they charged through the field to podium yesterday. So keep an eye on that Grove Racing, that red and black Porsche. At the moment, it's made its way up to position number 13.
And
Brenton's got the lights on, so we know he means business. That car was incredibly quick yesterday, had good consistent speed throughout the race. So for Brenton, he just needs to focus on picking off as many cars as he can, keep it nice and clean, and hand over to his dad Stephen in the pit stop.
They're off to the Spa 24-hour in a couple of weeks. 72 GT3 cars entered for that. It's the next round of the GT Intercontinental GT Challenge. We're just seeing Garth Walden in the lane. I wonder if that's as a result of what happened on the opening lap. That team, Ram Motorsport, with Mike Sheargold, won the AM class yesterday. They overhauled Brad Schumacher late in the race and grabbed the victory. Too early for a mandatory stop. The AMG Merc sitting in the lane.
And Richard, I think that might be in a position where they might roll that away. They've got that up off the decks. Is that going to be put back in the garage? We'll wait. We'll get some confirmation on that before we speculate too much. Patterson with 1.5 over Ojeda. Have they found a little more pace today from the J-Mac entry? Hoffa's third, but he's about a 1.5 second deficit to Ojeda at the moment.
And Rusty, after Ojeda sort of was wobbling around on the first lap there, looked like he was struggling for some tyre temperature. He's now into it, setting the fastest lap of the race. So that big margin that Patterson, I guess, built on the first lap, Ojeda's already eating into that.
Maximilian Hoffa, Max Hoffa, one of the internationals that are taking part. Great to have the Austrian with us. He's been a bit of a character too. Tall driver, young racer. And been talking about the secret sauce. KFC has been the secret thing he's been enjoying. Exactly. Back we go to the entry that Dylan O'Keefe shares.
I wonder if Matt Stupas, who's a KFC franchisee, that's why it's on the side of his car. I wonder if he's been in his ear.
Gotta be.
Just about that, surely. We'll give you a deal while you're here, Maxie. So, just touching on the pit stop thing. So, the Porsche will spend 6 seconds longer than car number 101, the Mercedes-AMG for Harold Valenci, also racing in pit lane. Fabian?
Down here with Garth Walden. See, there's fluid coming from the radiator. What happened?
Yeah, I think we all jacked up at MG on the first lap, and sort of everyone got in the back of everyone, and it really wasn't that bad. I'm surprised with the radiator being so far back that it got a hold, but anyway, that's what it is.
That's frustrating. You wait all day to come racing, and that happened.
Yeah, the car was good yesterday, and we were just tuning it as the weekend went on. We had new tyres then, and it felt pretty racy at the start, so it's unfortunate.
All right, good luck for the next one.
Thanks, mate.
They're a great crew down there that Garth Walden brings to each round, and Richard detailed the result they had yesterday. That's a blow on Sunday here at Phillip Island. Something a little bit different. You notice the 20 there just coming through the bottom of shot. That is the new generation Mark car built around a Mercedes bodywork. They do some great things here with the common sort of underpinnings, Moff, don't they? But you can choose the body that you like. It's only the second of those style of cars that they built. The first of them has gone to New Zealand, but unmistakable, beautiful blue wrap on that car.
Looks fantastic, doesn't it?
Bit of work in that, I reckon.
Definitely not going to miss it out on track. So,
No.
yeah, stunning looking car, and they've done a fantastic job with that Mark car. It's a beautiful piece of machinery.
Riding on board with Renee Gracie at the moment, 16th place. I think it had a little bit of damage, the car yesterday, but not necessarily her fault. I think it was in fact with the Mustang, the 95 that we saw before. Trophy class car, older generation Audi, has been out of racing for about 7 years, and we've been following the progress. Great to...
Yeah, looks like Renee's made position there on Samadhi there. So a nice clean move from Renee Gracie up the inside at MG corner. We just missed that on camera, but look at this battle now for the lead. That Mercedes-Benz, and we've got a car off.
That's the back end of the story, I reckon, that you spotted. You spun around, you saw something unfolding, and I reckon that's the car. So, yellow flags being displayed. I reckon that's up around, is that up around 11? It is. So they come out of MG corner. Talk us through this.
Okay, so we're just losing a bit of sight there. Oh, yeah, just contact with the two cars. And around goes the number 8. Hopefully he can get that car started again and moving. Otherwise, I dare say we might see safety car called, but we'll wait and see. Doesn't look like, you know, that was just minor contact, but just enough to turn the number 8 car around, unfortunately.
Back to the front. Here's, Moff's talked about the fastest lap of the race so far belongs to the Juice. OJ, Jaden Ojeda, the 129.598. He's chasing down Garnett Patterson. Two young, fast racers. They've got to keep in mind yellow flags on display at this point.
Pit stop window open with the 35-minute to go mark in the race, and it's open for 10 minutes. And if you are a team with a pro driver behind the wheel, you want to run them for as long as you possibly can into this race before you put your AM in for the end. The speed differential between the AM drivers is often larger than the pros. So that's when we really start to see the results shuffling.
Oh, this is nasty.
Now remember, that's the car that went off before, so it did get going again. So our leaders want to clear it.
Ojeda right up behind Garnett Patterson in the Porsche. They were looking for a little bit of a break today. I spoke to Garnett just before the race, really frustrated with yesterday. They also, just to add insult to injury, copped a $1,500 fine. They didn't have an SD card in their mandatory onboard camera, which is part of the process that you need to have for race official purposes. So unfortunately it was a tough day for EMA Motorsport, but they're leading this race under heat from the Juice and Harold's Valenti Rosso Racing. Hasn't this team stepped up in recent times, building their GT3 program, headed up by Chris Papadopoulos, the former Renault Formula One engineer. He ran Kimi Raikkonen for a couple of seasons in Formula One, including that famous Abu Dhabi "Don't Talk to Me, I Know What I'm Doing" race. He was there.
That's what they go racing.
I was trying to get that out of you. Very nice. And Josh Hunt, the other partner in that team. So they're doing a really nice job. They've got two cars running with Chris Batios and Sam Brabham. They're running in 8th position at the moment in car 102, doing a nice job.
They were pretty chuffed when they were leaving the track last night. I saw them, it was about, I don't know, 5:45, 6 p.m. So it was just a case of make sure everything was neat and tidy for Sunday's racing. They left happy. Here we go. Grove putting the pressure on that car of Sam Brabham. David Brabham's son, grandson of the triple world champion, the late great Sir Jack Brabham, keeps it mid-track. Brenton with the lights on, goes to the inside and picks up another spot. That's 8th place now.
And that move there by Brenton was all set up at the last corner. Rusty got a nice run out of the final corner, and that leads on to the Gardner Straight. He was able to slipstream his way past that Mercedes and picks up another spot up to P8 now. So they are charging through the field.
And with Stephen Grove to jump into this car, you'd back them for a really good result. He is one of the most experienced AM drivers in this part of the world and most successful. Multiple Pro-Am champion in Carrera Cup, a lot of miles in these cars as well. So this car should continue to go forward. There's no reason in my mind why they can't replicate the podium from yesterday.
Oh, sorry, go.
And well, I was just going to say there would have been one Porsche team in pit lane that would have been relieved that car number 8 on screen now got going and there was no safety car.
Yes.
The Groves, they would have been begging for a safety car, bunched the field up, and that would have really helped them out. But there's still a bit to go before this pit stop window opens and we start seeing cars cycle through the pit lane.
Now this is also for position. That's Paul Stokel ahead of Brenton Grove. So that's 7th place, the KFC Audi just ahead of him. And I'm glad you brought up Stephen before too, because he has a little bit of that kind of Yasser Shahin about him, a successful business person. When he gets the eyes on him and runs very good race teams, very professional racing teams, when he gets the eyes on, he's dynamite, mate, isn't he?
Yep, 100%. And that's what makes it so exciting to watch. So this battle continues. Nothing's changed up front. 0.3 the official margin between Patterson and Ojeda. This is awesome from Jaden, given his lack of experience in these cars relative to everything else he's driven. Spent a lot of time in the supercar platform, a couple of wildcard starts for Walkinshaw Andretti United. He came out of Super 3 racing. He was in Formula 4 before that. Such a good job in the production car at Mount Panorama at the 6 Hour, but not a lot of experience in cars with a lot of downforce and the slick tyre, especially that they run in GT racing. As Grove gets down the inside of Stokel and gets another position. So for him to adapt as quickly as he has to this AMG is really impressive.
Just another highlight on the bloke's talent, his diversity, hey, in a race driver sense. So back to the race lead, and Jaden, who we've just been talking about, puts that pressure on Garnett Patterson.
And watch the car in the background, the Audi of Max Hoffer, as these two start to fight amongst each other. He will range onto the back of these two and it'll become a three-way fight very quickly.
And if Hopper stays about where he is, which is within 2 to 3 seconds of the leaders, they're going to look really good post-pit stop because they've got the shortest pit stop time of this leading group of cars.
So we ride with the 75 now, and he will hand over at some point to Jeff Emery, who's, I mean, when you look at his CV, it is ultra impressive. He's another really good guy for Max to be partnered with. We've seen him collecting very important trophies at the Motorsport Australia Awards over the years. And Jeff wasn't necessarily planning on a big season of racing, has done some Carrera Cup in recent time, got the call up to come and play. Very good operator to have in the 75.
Jeff was part of a remarkable fight in Carrera Cup Pro-Am last year. It came to account back in the final race, the final round of the championship. Very good in a whole range of cars and came to prominence in the old Commodore Cup back in the day. He was a 5-time champion there. They were cool racing cars. But yeah, great all-round racer, Jeff Emery, and a safe pair of hands. So if they can keep that Audi R8, which I don't think is the quickest car here this weekend, it had good one-lap pace in qualifying, but over a race pace, the Audi's just not quite as competitive as the Porsche, especially, and the Mercedes AMG here at Phillip Island. That's the joy of GT3 racing, is the cars, the strengths and weaknesses mean that they all produce their speed differently. And the irony is that when they go to Bathurst, it is the best racetrack possibly in the world for GT3 balance of performance, because there's something there for everyone. The Mercs are great out of the torquey slow speed corners going up the hill and then down the chute. The Audi's amazing across the top. The Porsche tends to do everything really, really well. And it just ends up where you get all the different makes and models in GT3 racing all covered by about half a second.
So day on day, guys, we're seeing definitely, I think, an improvement in speed and performance out of this 101 Mercedes car. We saw at the back end of the race yesterday that the Porsche of Garnett Patterson was just able to open a margin and comfortably take victory in the end, but Ojeda is definitely pressuring Garnett Patterson more than he would be comfortable with at this point in the race.
Loving the fact that it's allowing Hoffer into the game too, as Moff talked about before, just while they squabble, while they continue to battle away. There he is in the background. So it's a Porsche, a Mercedes AMG, and Audi, as Richard detailed before, the variety. Hoffer's leaving nothing on the table here in pursuit, is he?
And I think the Audis are ganging up on this race because Dylan O'Keefe's in with a shout too. He's running 4th in car 10. He'll hand that over to Andy Fawcett for the second half. And then you go back to the M Motorsport AMG. Glenwood and Justin McMillan doing a nice job. They're only 5 seconds off the outright race lead. There they are, top of Lukey Heights. And then back to Fraser Ross and Liam Talbot. And in the second half of the race, with Liam Talbot behind the wheel of the Shannon's Insurance Audi, that's another one worth watching that will go forward with a rapid pace.
And this is a nice run for this number 10 car today. They had some troubles yesterday and were forced to retire. It meant that Dylan didn't get any racing laps, so he'll be enjoying his time behind the wheel. He's doing a solid job now.
Good combo with Andrew Fawcett, as Richard said a moment ago. You'll notice a little sticker on the back of the car, IMS, International Motorsport, Auckland-based. That is Lyle Williamson, who's been around the game, has worked with something like 100 different drivers and all kinds of great names along the way, has been involved in campaigns in South Africa, significantly in New Zealand and in Australia, of course. And Andrew's been around that organisation with some of their endurance racing campaigns. And good to, for him to partner up with Dylan O'Keefe. Cool to have Dylan at the wheel of a GT car.
Good podcast about Williamson there, actually, that on the air recently.
It was a good chat. Back we go, and Glenwood at the wheel of this car, the 48. Lots of good laughs when I went down there the other day, and they've stepped out of some very different machinery in recent time. He is thoroughly enjoying this car, but it has been in the early part of the weekend a little bit wild, a little bit of a handful at about this point, particularly through 11. Some of the onboard camera stuff that they were replaying to try and diagnose, it was wild. It was taily about this point, Moff. They were trying to dial that out of it.
Well, and that's what you don't want around this Phillip Island circuit. Because of the high-speed nature of corners like this, you don't want a car that's too taily. You want it just nice and neutral. A car that looks after its tyres, especially in these long 1-hour races. You need the consistency throughout the race. It's no good having a car that's quick over 1 lap. We need it quick over 60 minutes.
So this race just, it's sort of a holding pattern at the moment because they're all racing to the pit stop to try and get themselves the best possible track position to hand over to their co-drivers. And you really need to think of these GT World Challenge rounds as one race over 2 days. Even though they've got separate qualifying formats, it sort of pays out over the entire weekend. The pro driver jumps in at the end of race 1 and starts race 2. The AM driver starts the weekend and then finishes it. You really don't get a clear picture until the final 20 minutes of this race when the AMs are in the car and you get an idea of the ultimate pace of these racing cars with the AM drivers behind the wheel to see who's going to have what and who could charge forward.
You ran through the top 6 before. Let's not forget the Grove combination. Currently in P7, up 13 spots already in this race.
And they cop a little bit of pit stop time, Rusty, as a result of finishing on the podium yesterday, but it's only 5 seconds longer than the standard 106-second time, so it's not that bad. So I think they're going to get a little bit of net gain out of this as well, keeping in mind that Brenton right now is only 12 seconds away from the race lead after 21, almost 22 minutes and 12 laps of racing. So I think you'll find this car will get closer to that leading group as they go on. And I still think a podium is very much an opportunity for Grove Racing.
Big mission, isn't it, with all their international racing activity that they do?
And what they're doing with their supercar program is really impressive, and they're building a team that's got the feeling that in a couple of years could explode into a 888 on everybody, just with the brain power they've got going on there. And young Matt Payne, who is a bit of a superstar in the making. It's really exciting.
Here we go. So, standing by. Some chat happening down there at Melbourne Performance Centre in the Shannon's race suit. We saw him arrive today with a pretty wild fashion setup. It's Liam Talbot, who'll be ready to take over from Fraser Ross, currently in 6th place in this race behind Glenwood.
And whilst we talk about the professional drivers being in the cars now, that combination of Fraser Ross and Liam Talbot, there really isn't much difference in the speed 100%. Between those two drivers. So whilst we might see the likes of Garnett Patterson, Ojeda, Brenton Grove run out to the end of the pit stop window and then hand over their cars to their co-drivers, you might see that number 65 of Fraser Ross in the pit lane any moment now as the pit window is now open.
Yeah, it's a great point, Moff. And they're very evenly matched. They've raced together for a long time. Fraser's missed the first couple of rounds of the championship. He's been racing in Europe this year. He heads over to the 24-hour of Le Mans in a couple of weeks to race in the undercard series there. There's a 4-hour endurance race leading into that weekend. So that's exciting for Fraser to spread his wings and go and race overseas. But great to have him back aboard and his mate Liam, and they put together a really good combination. A couple of 12 hours under their belt at the mountain as well.
In the midst of the reviews yesterday, there was an awkward kind of parking when Yasser Shahin handed over to Garnett Patterson. The car wasn't necessarily on the concrete apron, but it wasn't out in the fast lane either. But I think they did look into it, didn't they? So
it was very marginal from our viewing point up here in the commentary box.
Yeah, they got away with that because they didn't have any point of the car, and especially in the fast lane. Yeah. But if they were parked a little bit further out, that'll be something they would have gone through in the debrief overnight to make sure that they're well on top on it. It's those little 1%ers that can change these races.
Well, and it goes to show the durability of these Pirelli tyres that all the competitors are on. You know, there's no consideration, really, it looks like, between any of the teams to have to change tyres in the pit stop. So a situation like that yesterday, if they changed tyres, they definitely would have breached that rule of being in the fast lane and would have copped further penalties than what they already did.
We should say congratulations while we're at it to Prince Abu Ibrahim and Lucas Stolz, who got a win yesterday in GT World Challenge Asia up at the Buriram circuit in Thailand. They're up there. So Chang International Circuit, looking forward to their second race a little bit later on this afternoon. So 888 Race Engineering grabbing an international GT victory. That's why those two cars, the Johor Motor Racing AMGs, aren't here this weekend. They've obviously committed to the GT World Challenge Asia Championship as well. So well done to Abu and the team up there for getting the job done.
You could kind of argue mixed emotions and all of that. We missed them here, but you know what? It also shows the progression that is available in this style of racing. Come and play if you're good enough. If you're like a Liam Talbot and some of there is the opportunity to go and do other things internationally as a result.
So same cars. Anywhere you go around the world, they are the same race car. And that's the joy of it. So 888 will dovetail both championships this year. They'll run here in Australia and when there's no clashes, and then they'll go over to Asia and run the 2 cars that are based over there. So it's an ambitious program, but Abu and Jeffrey, the 2 princes from Johor, do a super job. They've both come on as racing car drivers. That's pretty close. Renee Gracie in the lane. Patterson just got balked a little bit by the lap car coming out of MG, and it's got the juice right up behind him as they roll around onto the straight. So the first of the mandatory pit stops now underway. I don't expect any of the leaders in for another couple of laps until they get right to the very end of this pit stop window.
It means for the likes of Renee Gracie, for example, who's also come into the lane, that it's nice and clear. You can just have this kind of smooth, trouble-free stop.
You can see the clock ticking there on the dash. And the pit stop time is not the stationary time. It's from the control line at the start of pit lane to the control line at the exit. So you have to be quite smart about how you do that. And the penalties for going under that are quite severe.
And the teams will... Here we go. Challenge. Ojeda. The nose. He's off in the grass. Unreal. He fires it up the inside and will take the race lead. That is brave. That shows just what this young man has in terms of talent. That was huge. Down at Miller Corner, turn 4. We used to call it Honda. Moff, that really got it. I didn't know if you could pull it up. That's why I was short on words.
Well, and Patterson in the Porsche gave him just enough racing room there, and replay now. So, yep, Ojeda's actually come from a fair way back there, so that's a decent lunge. Had to grab a bit of the curb there. But
and a bit of grass, I reckon.
Yeah, nice racing there by both guys. A little bit of contact, but, yeah, good job by Ojeda. And, yeah, not afraid to stick it in there, and he got the job done, and now he will just be trying to go like a cut snake now, get as much margin as he can on that Porsche before he has to make his compulsory pit stop.
A few others in the lane. Looks like Schumacher, Ash Samardi. So there is a little bit more activity happening in the lane in relation to compulsory stops.
Schumacher will be interesting to see where Brad pops out, because he's a contender in the AM class, running solo, so no driver change. Speaking of, Ben Stack jumps out of the Dutton Garage entry. Great to see these guys popping up in GT. It's their first round for the year. Ben's a guy who's got a few racing miles. His dad, Bernie, one of the great privateers of Australian touring car racing of the 70s and 80s at Bathurst. Pop up every year in a privateer entry.
One of the many cars that sort of fall under the MPC umbrella. I think there's, as I said earlier in the coverage today, about 40-odd staff that are drafted in from different areas, and some very experienced operators when you talk about engineering and mechanics around motorsport when you walk into that team, in order to run all the cars in this class, plus the two in Supercheap Auto TCR.
This is a good little battle. Glenn Wood leading Fraser Ross and Brenton Grove, all locked together in a fight for 5th, 6th and 7th. So Mercedes AMG, Audi R8, LMS and Porsche 911 GT3R.
Yeah, just looking at the timing screen, it looks like Wood might have had a bit of a scrappy first sector on this lap. He's dropped a couple of seconds because it wasn't that long ago. He was not that far off the back of O'Keefe for 4th. So he's now got a bit of pressure from Fraser Ross behind in the 65.
And these cars cross the line, so the leaders through. They're only 12 seconds away from the outright race lead, which is Jaden Ojeda, who clearly has pace to burn aboard car 101, because he's gapped Patterson to the tune of almost 2 seconds since forcing his way by. I was going to say slipping by, but it was slightly more aggressive than a slip down there at turn 4. Nice pass.
Good to watch. Great pass. Back we go to Brenton Grove chasing the Shannon's entry. This is a close battle, this one, and here we go.
Oh, Brenton around the outside of Ross, and Honda, can he pull that move off? So this is a bit of an awkward phase of the race, because some guys have pitted and the leaders are now in a bit of what is essentially lap traffic. But Brenton is able to capitalise on that. So Samadi, the car that's made his pit stop, and now this is a little bit too close for comfort. Can they both get through there? Oh, that's not a place you want to be trying to stick the nose up at the hay shed. Very fast part of the race circuit. But now he clears that car of Samadi, but he's lost a fair bit of ground in those sequence of corners.
That's really costly for Fraser Ross. He'll be very frustrated with that. And so lap cars giveth and taketh away in GT racing, and it sort of worked initially for Fraser. I thought he might have been on the correct side and immediately bails to pit lane. So they're going to peel off and take their stop. Dylan O'Keefe is in as well. The leaders have gone through, so they've got enough time to circulate one more time before pitting and putting the AM drivers in those leading cars. So O'Keefe in and Fraser Ross in as well, and there is Liam ready to jump aboard the 65 Shannon's Audi. This is where the race starts to play out.
So what do they do at Harold's Racing in response here? So Ojeda has 2 seconds over Garnett Patterson at the moment. Hoffa still holds down third. There you go, the J-Mac entry.
And we felt, guys, didn't we, that, you know, Ojeda looked like he had speed on Patterson, and he's been able to show that as soon as he's been able to clear the Porsche, the number 1 Porsche that is, he's been able to check out over 2 seconds the gap now, so he's doing a great job and utilising that speed in that Mercedes AMG.
Maybe it was the radio message they needed to get by. They needed to get it done. Perhaps knew they had the pace. Hoffa closes on Patterson. So under 26 minutes remaining in this race, second one of the weekend. Oh, Hoffa runs wide. Now, I reckon that's Patterson in the lane. Was that the Porsche sneaking into the lane there a moment ago? You could just see it in shot. So there you go.
Yeah, I was looking at the same thing. Moff's just pointing at the timing, and we're wondering if perhaps Ojeda and Hoffa, they've gone around again. Now, the teams are armed with much more information about it than we are, but they've gone around again to complete another lap. Just diving into my regulations. So I think they might actually have a little bit more time. Just with the program and the way it shifted today, I think they've got an extra couple of minutes.
In terms of the window.
Well, to serve it, so 13:45, I think the window closes. So they bumped it a little bit later into the race, just with the way that the schedule was working. So I think they're safe, but yeah, heart-in-mouth moment there. I thought they might have had a little miscue for a moment. Glad we're on the same train of thought. It makes me feel confident about my life decisions.
Yeah, we're tic-tacking here on it, Rich, but there's some radio bands are happening that it might be 13:45 local, so it's 13:43 now, or one I should say, 43. It's a better way of saying it. So let's just see what happens here and if they peel into the lane this time around. And on the right of your screen, in the meantime, we keep an eye on the EMA Motorsport crew with that change happening. Yasser Shahin, in it comes. In comes Jaden Ojeda.
You get almost a full lap up your sleeve when you pit, but that's just because the pit stop time's so long. So Ojeda in and Hoffa follows. And I still think car 75 is in the best position out of all of those leading cars from having the shortest pit stop time. So they're only a couple of seconds off the race lead, but they're 5 seconds to the good of car 101 from a pit stop time.
And we talk about, you know, the importance of good in and out laps. Max Hoffa, fastest first sector for that car on his in lap. So maximum push on the way into pit lane.
Right at the close of the window, it is busy in the lane, and all that front running group are in there. So the Patterson Porsche with Yasser Shahin now at the wheel leaves the lane and looking at a rejoin around 6th place, and look at how feisty it is. That is because the Shannon's entry is right there. So this is more position.
Nice move.
Gets it. Liam Talbot, he said he was going to get out and go hard, and he's doing that already.
And that's what having a 10-second shorter pit stop did. They came in 12 seconds behind the number 1 Porsche. From that battle, they were in for 5th and 6th position. They were 10 seconds quicker in the lane. They were out early, so he's got tyres warmed up, pushing hard already. They had an extra lap versus Yasser, who's out of pit lane on colder tyres, and that is a legitimate change of position. So the Porsche came into pit lane a net second, where will they play out? Well, they've already lost one spot, and I think they could lose a couple more just with having that longer pit stop time from their success yesterday, even though they got penalised.
In the meantime, we're keeping an eye over our shoulders in the pit lane, waiting for the J-Mac entry with Jeff Emery at the wheel to leave now. So the car that Richard's been talking about, the 75, leaving the lane. The Harold's entry now heads out of pit lane as well. This is shaping as a very exciting finish to this race. You've got a couple of cars here now with tyre temp, with speed. Here's Liam Talbot. We'll wait for about a lap or so to see where they all shake out, but this is going to compress here.
And Brenton Grove leaves pit lane now as well.
Well, hopefully it's not Brenton.
Oh, sorry, Stephen Grove. It still had B on the timing. And he's been jumped. Well, Yasushi is in front of him, but they're now line astern, the two Porsches in 6th and 7th.
Round. Andrew Fawcett's gone round.
From 4th place. So Dylan O'Keefe, great job early on.
And that would have been a hard-in-the-mouth moment for Talbot, because Fawcett went around right in front of him at turn 2. Good job to get it out of the kitty litter there, and unfortunate spin for Andrew, but yeah, he was back underway. Just, yeah, easy spot to do that at turn 2. Probably just got a bit wide, high and wide, out in the marbles, and around the back of the car went on him.
I'd need to double check too, but it might have been the outlap, was it? So perhaps colder tyres. When did they pit?
No, they stopped a couple of laps ago. They were a little bit earlier into the lane.
So maybe just not the ideal line, as Moff said. We go back. Emery leads the way.
So it's worked really well for this team. The J-Mac Racing Audi is going to be 8 seconds to the clear of Ross Polakis, and this now turns into a battle of the AM drivers. Who is the quickest? Emery first, Polakis, Justin McMillan in the Mercedes AMG, then Talbot with a head of steam, but 16 seconds down the road, and then Yasser Shahin a further 4.5 seconds further back. There's still 20 minutes of racing to go. Plenty of time. Who comes out on top? But this has worked out beautifully. And it was all anchored by Max Hoffer early. He just put that car in the right position. Didn't have the ultimate car speed to challenge Jaden Ojeda or Garnett Patterson, but stuck within a couple of seconds, knowing that they were going to make up free time in pit lane. And then they'd get an advantage from that and hand the car over to Jeff Emery, who's more than up for the job of bringing this car home.
Yeah, it certainly was a class drive from Hoffer, and probably used his experience in these cars just to look after the tyres as well, and just, you know, it's not stay that far back in terms of, you know, looking after his tyres, not getting too close to the car in front and hurting the front tyres, and knowing that he'd hand over to Jeff with a good pit stop in terms of, you know, not having to wait too long in the pit lane, and now Jeff's got some beautiful clear track in front of him.
We'll keep a watching brief on Talbot versus Shahin. There's just over half a second, so that fight for fourth will be one worth watching. More from the lane now.
Down here with Dylan O'Keefe, you actually got some laps today.
Yeah, got some laps today. It's the start of the race. Tough old battle at the start. Car's pretty tricky today. I mean, lap times aren't that quick for a GT car around here. But today, yeah, battling a bit to get the car turned and get it off the corner. So working the tyres pretty hard, and I think that's why Andrew had to spin at turn 2 there. But nonetheless, a lot of fun to drive a GT car around here.
Well, we wish you all the best for the rest of the race.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Fraser Ross, a little bit of an issue there late in your stint there with some lap traffic. Talk us through what happened and how much it's hurt.
Yeah, look, it was a bit unfortunate to catch Samadi where we did. You know, we lost a hell of a lot of time, and obviously Grove got past us, so just didn't have the pace to run with the guys in the front pack. But, you know, just that last lap with Samadi, you know, just not watching his mirrors and cutting us where he did. So that really hurt us, like giving him a bit more of a job to do today. But, you know, he's the right man for the job, so hopefully he can do it.
Well, that's the thing, if anyone's capable of it, we know as AMs stack up, you can't get much better than Liam, right?
Yeah, that's right. He's racing at the top of his game at the moment. You know, he's on good form. Just look at the success he's had this year, and obviously with the 12 hour as well with us. So, you know, so I think he can do it. You know, the safety car would have been nice now, but anyway, we'll see how it goes.
Fingers crossed.
Cheers. Hey, thanks.
It's a good point that Fraser makes about Liam. He is absolutely peaking his racing career right now in terms of how he's been driving, his raw speed, his consistency is there. And I mean, you've worked with AM drivers before. Often you can get them fast, but getting them to do that lap after lap can be a challenge. because it's not what they do as a profession. So building up that consistency is so key. But Liam's got that as much as the pros do in this field.
Exactly, and we often refer to, I guess, the analogy of, for the amateur drivers, this is a bit like their golf game, going motor racing. And no different to golf. The only way you get better at golf is practicing. So practice your golf swing. In motor racing circles, it's going around in circles, so to speak. So, Liam does a lot of driving. Like we said, different championships and different cars, and it's just building your experience. And he does a solid job week in, week out. Doesn't matter where he's driving. And, at the moment sits in P4 after the pit stop cycle, but we'll be eyeing a podium finish, no doubt.
And he's reacted here, Liam Talbot, to the kind of pressure that Yasser Shahin was applying. But if you want to give somebody a target, something to chase, Yasser Shahin is your man. And they were down to about 3/10 between the pair of them. And Liam's responded, been able to eke it out a little bit now in that Shannon's Audi. So acutely aware that Yasser's there. Emery with 10 seconds over Palakis at the moment.
And remember, in yesterday's race one, it was Yasser and Liam in the first stint going at it, but roles reversed, Liam was tucked up behind the back of that #1 Porsche, so now it's roles reversed and Liam's able to enjoy a bit of clean track in front of him.
Fabian.
Down here with Garnet Patterson. Amazing start, and it looked like a great battle with Jaden.
Yeah, it was good fun. Obviously, first of all, pretty disappointed with yesterday's result. Penalty was fair in my opinion, but I think the extra pit stop time today, given we were 4th yesterday, is unfair and something that needs to be looked at. But yeah, today was good. Good to get in the lead. Good to try and hold him up, save our tyres. Hopefully, Yasser can have some fun here and pass the guys. So yeah, we'll see how we go.
I was just going to touch on that. The car's in pretty safe hands with Yasser. He did a good job yesterday, so hopefully you can stay where you are.
Yeah, hopefully we get that 15 seconds back.
Good luck.
Cheers.
Give us a synopsis, I guess, of how you guys are situated in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite hard having to start from last in both races. We've managed to make up some good ground, and I tried to conserve the tyre as much as possible. The guys in front work pretty hard, so Steve's out there now. He's going to have a crack, and he should have a decent tyre advantage, so hopefully we can try and close the gap.
You guys love your racing. It's an incredibly jam-packed program, and you're off to Spa. Tell us when and your expectations there.
Yeah, so go over to Spa next Saturday. We have a 2-day test for the 24-hour. Then we have a race that weekend at Spa. Come back for a couple of weeks and then go over and do the 24, which is 72 or 76 cars of the best GT3 teams in the world. So it's going to be pretty hectic.
Mate, it's awesome. You're flying the flag for Australia. We love it. We love what you're doing here as well, and best of luck for the rest of this one.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Awesome event, and hectic probably isn't a good enough word for it. It's
appropriate, I think.
Very.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. Done a great job. Loving their international racing program. It started back at Dubai at the start of the year, and Anton De Pasquale went over and joined them for with Earl Bamber for the Dubai 24-hour. Then they've run Bathurst. They've since been to Kyalami. This is Liam Talbot on the attack, and he was catching Ross Palakis. He just got past Shahin, of course, so he's now catching Palakis, and the battle will be for second place. Jeff Emery 12 seconds out in front. And a 1:31.5 for Talbot last time by, plays a 33.5 for Palakis in the AMG. So there's a raw speed advantage for Liam. The Shannon's Audi is flying. The job's going to be getting past the Merc and then catching this guy who's cruising around out in front now. Almost 13 seconds to the good.
And Yasser's turned it back on again. He's closing on Ross Palakis and Liam Talbot. So they sense maybe a podium, that combination today, Garnet Patterson and Yasser Shahin, after what happened yesterday. You can just see them in the back of shot. They're approaching Miller Corner down to 4. We're following our leader at present. A little bit of lap traffic, one of the marked cars that we were talking about earlier.
And there was a little bit of hip and shoulder down at Honda, at Stoner, I should say, and the Porsche's been off the road.
And Talbot's dropped back too, hasn't he? So he's ahead.
So there was a big moment. They went down there side by side. I was watching it out the window, and there was contact, and I think Liam was forced out wide, and there was a hip and shoulder with the Porsche as well. Check this out. So this, down the inside goes Shahin on Liam Talbot, a long way into the apex of the corner in terms of using all of the apex. and that was the hip and shoulder on the exit with Liam Talbot and the Shannon's Audi forced out wide.
Now, it may not be the job you ever want to do, but if you were playing driving standards advisor, how would you look upon that?
Oh, well, I need to sit down with both guys after the race, and, look at the in-car vision and go through it, thoroughly.
Vote 1, James Moffat. Very well done, mate. Very good. Very
it looks
good.
like a bit of the bodywork of the Audi of Talbot is lodged there on the left
Shannon's
rear of
sticker work, isn't it? Yeah, or something.
Of Yass's car. So essentially a fight for the podium. So you can see why the guys would be getting their elbows out, but I won't make any judgment on it just yet.
Okay, well done. Ross Palakis, good job in the meantime, though. And here comes Shaheen, fires it around the outside at Miller Corner at 4, and the Harold's entry fights back. He gets there.
That debris not going anywhere. What a fight. Fabian?
Down here with Max Hoffer, your car's currently leading.
Yeah, we can't be more happy. Like, we try to maximize our potential, and I think that's the maximum we can do at the moment. Porsche and Merc, they're looking strong this weekend, so yeah, things are looking good. Jeff is doing a mega job as well, so yeah, fingers crossed.
So you've been doing a little bit of racing lately, 4 weekends in a row, off to Nürburgring 24-hour next weekend. How's that jet lag?
I'm exhausted, I have to tell you, but I still love it. It's my job. I turned my hobby into my job this year, so I just have to deal with it, I guess.
Very jealous. Good luck for the rest of the race.
Thank you.
Just while we were listening to that chat there.
I'll tell you what, clap of the hands as we came in here. You're sitting okay?
Yeah, no, we were sitting really strong. We've got a much better race car today, which is something we worked pretty hard on overnight, particularly to make it comfortable for Justin, and make sure that he can be as consistent as possible. So, no, really good stint. It's hard work out there, though.
Now, James Moffat's up in commentary, and that incident that we just saw a vision of a few moments ago, Moff wouldn't say who he thought was at fault. I think I heard you say he'll get a penalty for sure for that.
Oh, OK, you weren't supposed to hear that. I'm staying out of the politics. Who knows? I'll leave that up to Carl Reiland to do his job, and he does an amazing job. So, yeah, keep me out of that.
Nice job. Justin's going strong. Good luck for the rest of it.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
All our racing car drivers firmly on the fence today, Rusty. I don't know about that.
Well, it only comes back to bite us, Richard.
Yeah, it's true.
While we were chatting there, it's a spot gain for the 65 here at Talbot to 3rd now, ahead of Palakis in the 101. So it's Emery by 12.5 over a hard-charging Yasser Shahin with a question mark maybe. What will Motorsport Australia Race Control do in terms of the way they viewed the pass on Talbot?
There's a bit of needle between these two as well. There's been some priors between Talbot and Shahin in the past. So if these two get together again, it's going to be properly on as they fight for 2nd place. Meanwhile, out in front, all Jeff Emery has to do is circulate and bring this car home, and it doesn't have the raw speed at the moment, but doesn't need to either. 10 minutes left in the race.
Well, an 11.5 second gap back to 2nd, as you say, Richie. So for Jeff, it's just about keeping it nice, smooth and consistent. These guys might have a bit of pace, speed on him, but they're not going to pull in that sort of a margin with only less than 10 minutes to go in the race. So he's in the pound seats, as they like to say, but anything can happen in motor racing, can't it?
So the other outcome out of this is that Max Hoffer is going to be leading the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia Championship after this weekend. So he raced the first 2 rounds with Liam Talbot. They won 3 of the first 4 races and were leading. So they've now split the drivers, and the points were queued by the driver, not the car. So Talbot's going to get a good handful of points as well. So he's going to be right in there. But if Hoffer can win this race with Emery, he is going to be leading the championship. So it was unheard of in these parts before he rolled down at the Bathurst 6 Hour on the Easter weekend. And he could go into the midway point of this championship leading the way in points. And he'd want to be checking his schedule for the remainder of the year to make sure he's clear to do the remaining 3 rounds after this one.
One of the other little stories too, Richard, is the car of Brad Schumacher from Bathurst, the 55, the Kelso electrical entry. He's in 7th at the moment, but leading class ahead of Matt Stupas. So nice performance there in that Fuchs Audi.
And the Grove Porsche again up 14 spots from where they started. Stephen Grove currently sitting in P6. We thought maybe after the pit stop cycle they might have been a bit closer to podium contention. It hasn't quite worked out for them today, but still a tremendous effort to be up 14 places from the start of the race.
Liam Talbot has just set the personal best lap for car 65 for the whole race. 29 laps in. Really impressive late race pace for that car. Stubbsy?
Jada, that was pretty fun out there, putting on a bit of a show. Give us your impressions.
Yeah, a bit of deja vu from yesterday, really, with Garnett and myself racing for the win there. That Porsche has got plenty of straight line boogie. I felt like I got a pretty good reaction time there, but he just dragged me into turn one and then, yeah, just settled in and then tried to really pick out my places where I was really strong, but you know, probably a little bit too late to the pass, but glad to get it done, and Ross is doing a good job out there as well.
That's the thing, we're at the pointy end now, only a few minutes remaining. What's capable for Ross?
Yeah, hopefully if we can stay in that top 4, top 5, that'd be great, and hopefully it puts us somewhere in the round honours contention. But awesome job from the crew, you know, massive step up from my first round at Barbagallo, and looking forward to what the rest of the year brings as we, you know, as I get up to speed a bit more with the car and we bring Ross along as well throughout the year.
Mate, we've loved it. Good luck.
Thank you.
Down here with Brett Hobson, obviously you're used to a very different type of car. How are you adapting to this one?
Yeah, look, we're struggling a bit. We've kind of been struggling all year, so we're trying different things. It's just me trying to get my head around it after getting out of a big, heavy Nissan and then a big, heavy Bentley, and now hopping in the Merc. I'm just really struggling. So we've got a good team of people behind us. We're just working on it. We'll get there.
I'm sure if you stick with it, you'll get used to it. But you know, fantastic cars to be driving around an awesome track like this.
Oh, mate, where would you rather be at the moment? Like, it's an unreal place, especially in the GT car. The only thing that we're struggling with a bit is a lot of the aero wash, which obviously this place being fast, we are noticing it a fair bit. But all in all, it's been pretty good. We love it here.
Well, stick at it. We wish you all the best for the next one.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Sam Brabham back racing again this weekend. How's it going? Christos Batsios is your partner in crime this weekend.
Yeah, it's going well, actually. You know, I think Bathurst for me, my first round was an experience, you know, just to get used to the car, and it's not a place where you want to push too hard just in case, you know, the walls and everything, and my lack of experience there. But coming here is a track that I know really well, being from Melbourne, and I've been able to really get a chance to feel the car. And for Chris, it's his first weekend in the car. He's only done 2 days really in this GT3 car, having stepped up from GT4. So, you know, he's getting better. He's just done his quickest lap of the weekend in the race right at the end. So he's just getting better and better.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's helping to develop these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's made the step up and he was a bit unsure whether he was ready, and now he's starting to get into it. He's starting to match the guys that he's around, which is brilliant for him, and it should give him a real confidence boost heading into the next rounds.
Great stuff, mate. We always love seeing you at the racetrack, and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Finally got to see his dad, David Brabham, in recent weeks after being kind of split because of COVID. David back in the UK now. Just while we were watching that interview and catching up with Sam Brabham there, a little something on the timing monitors caught your attention, James.
Yeah, 5-second penalty issued to car 1, Yasser Shaheen. So we can only assume that's for that little bit of contact between himself and Talbot down at turn 4. So a 5-second penalty at the moment. That would reverse the positions between Talbot and Shaheen in the race order. So not going to put him off the podium, but it's going to displace him back from 2nd to 3rd.
I've just heard from Motorsport Australia Race Control about that, actually, and it wasn't so much for the contact nor for the racing room on corner exit.
Yes, which there was contact on exit.
Yep,
and
that was the racing room, totally. So he now just needs to press on as hard as he can to try and reduce the margin to Emery, which is only 6 seconds now with 4 minutes to go in the race. Jeff just doing his own thing out in front. Probably has a little bit in reserve if he needs it, but then also try and build the margin over Talbot as much as he can to minimise that damage. But at this point, it would only drop them 1 spot back down to 3rd.
Just keeping an eye too on the pace of Stephen Grove relative to Ross Polakis. So you heard from Sam Brabham there at the moment on the other side of the garage for Valencia Rosso. But at the moment, the fight for 4th place could become interesting. Not many laps left to go. Talking before there about the Fuchs Audi, here is Brad Schumacher, 7th in the race, but leading class at the moment over Matt Stupas. So very professional outfit, this team.
Yeah, he'll be pleased with his performance, Rusty. It got picked yesterday for the first time all year. Won the first 4 straight races in the AM class, and A really stout drive from Garth Walden at the end of yesterday's race. Saw the Ram Motorsport car get by. And that car out very early in this one. But this is a bit of a return to form for the Fuchs Audi. Jump on board with Gracie. She's running 17th position at the moment and leading the trophy class. Lachidi in the second of the older spec Audi R8s. I think to this day, and I'll confirm this is one of the most produced GT3 cars of all time in terms of the number of cars that the factory punched out. The Gen 1 Audi R8, hugely successful model of GT3 car.
A little bit of damage there to the left rear of the car.
And now, wasn't there a bit of a wager with Griffo?
Mark
down
Griffiths,
there in pit lane?
I think the word is incentivising, isn't it? So if it comes back straight, and if there is a little incident and it's not her fault, I think Griffo's okay with that to an extent. But he's endeavouring to open more doors for her in a racing sense, and every outing it helps that process. Some talk she might drive a little something. Maybe I'm thinking it's Queensland race. I'm trying to pick which round it may have been for GT4. So we'll keep you posted on that. But that's great that more race time, more seat time.
Yeah, the Monochrome GT4 Championship is at that Shannon Speed Series round there in August. That's going to be a great race meeting too. Lots of cool cars there. And
Janetta, that was the car too. Yeah.
At Queensland Raceway.
You're putting a little Scottish tone on that, trying to be Tony Quinn there.
He's done a nice job up there. We went back there last year for the first time in a long time, and it was really cool. Looking forward to going back 12 months later to see what else has been done. This is Jeff Emery out in front of the race. The margin's 4.8 seconds, but in reality it's more like 7 because Yasser Shahin, who's running second, has a 5-second time penalty, which will be added to his race time post-race. Liam Talbot then will assume second place with Fraser Ross. It's a pretty good comeback for those guys. And then good for championship points as well for Liam, which is his main objective halfway through this year's Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia.
I reckon Ross Palaka should be pleased too. He's digging deep here to ensure that they hold on to that 4th place with a hard-charging Stephen Grove in 5th. So the gap, I think last time I was about 4 seconds, and I think Ross has been able to keep it there or thereabouts. So good work.
Yeah, and Rusty, they'll podium for the round as well. Harold's Racing, the Valenti Rosso crew.
Oh, spin, sorry, out of vision, but just from the comment box, the car's gone around at Lukey Heights.
There you go, Dutton garage entry. So obviously got loose coming across the top there. That's a fast part of the track for that to happen in a...
fortunate to keep it off the barriers, Rusty.
Very.
George Nakas behind the wheel. That's the car that Ben Stack was driving earlier. Here's what happened.
Yeah, rear just gave away from him there, so...
Keep in mind the approach, I think, there. It's probably even fractionally quicker, but it's about 170 on the way and be even more than that in a GT3
and
car.
we're, you know, right towards the end of the race, so the tyres, although these Pirelli tyres are fantastic, they're probably saying we're close to having enough.
There was a shake of the head from Josh Buchan as well, who's here to call the Kumo Series race next because it KO'd one of those very nice Hyundai signs there, and it was very disapproving from the Hyundai factory driver. Didn't like that at all.
He'd be big on merch, wouldn't he? About keeping a little something like that. No? Memorabilia. Clocks counted out. Should be the start of the last lap by, or last lap board should be displayed, I should say, this time by Jeff Emery. Beautiful view of Phillip Island ahead of him.
Yeah, done a really nice job of just doing what he's had to do in his stint, so hasn't worried about doing any blistering lap times or anything like that, just kept it nice and clean, looked after the tyres, and you know he's going to end up with a nice comfortable margin for victory here. So those guys in the 75 J-Mac Racing entry, they'll be happy. Maybe Maxie Hoffman might shout himself a bit of KFC tonight.
I think on the drive back to Melbourne, yep, absolutely. He's been really impressive, hasn't he? That young guy, learning these tracks, but those Europeans just have a knack of getting up to speed so quickly. I wonder there'd be some teams, surely, and NPC at the front of them trying to get his signature for a 12-hour drive at the start of next year as well. But he's been really impressive, and let's talk Jeff Emery too. He raced in this category for a couple of seasons. He was a champion, won some of the big races, and went off and did some other categories, successful in Porsche Carrera Cup. cool to have him back, showing his adaptability and chance of jumping into different racing cars and being quick in all of them. And this will be their first win for the season. Another win for Audi, their 4th of this year's Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, at a track that hasn't quite suited them so far, Rusty, but what a complete performance this has been from car 75.
Been a great weekend in the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. Emery is about to greet the checkered flag, along with Max Hoffer. J-Mac Racing will take it out on Sunday here at the Island. You're inside the Melbourne Performance Bunker. They celebrate there. Yasser Shahin will cross the line second, but with a 5-second penalty. And Liam Talbot third on the road at the moment in that Shannon's Audi. There he is. We'll double check the weekend podium for you, but the Harold's Valenti Rosso team should be there with Ross Palakis and Jaden Ojeda. Great weekend. Ojeda really proving to be a very worthy signing for that operation.
Yeah, he's elevated that program. Really looking forward to seeing what they can do as the championship goes on. I feel like they're going to be contenders for race wins in every race from this point, especially with the way Ross Palakis is developing as an AM driver, getting up to speed in this category. Another good drive for the Groves, who fight their way back to 5th. So 2nd and 5th in 2 races, starting from the back of the field, is a pretty solid effort. Race 2 highlights, Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. An aggressive start from Garnett Patterson, who sliced around the outside of Jaden Ojeda at turn 1 and got the Porsche in front early. Wasn't really able to capitalise on that. Maxi Hoffer was up to 3rd early, and this, the aggressive pass for the lead, sliced down the inside car 101. And ultimately there was nowhere for Patterson to go, and the Harold's car took the lead. The second different leader of the race. And that was the compulsory pit stops, and it was feisty after that as Liam Talbot got up the inside. Andrew Fawcett had the win, had the spin, I should say, at turn 2. And then this aggressive move, Yasser Shahin, contact with Talbot. A little bit of damage to the Porsche and a 5-second penalty, probably more damaging than the bodywork. And then this was the move around the outside. Great pass that. Hard racing between himself and Ross Palakis, and that ultimately got that car to 2nd on the road. But through it all, Jeff Emery and young Maximilian Hoffer, what a sensational performance. They add their names to the list of winners in the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia. Great day, great race. And the Audi on top at the end, Liam Talbot and Fraser Ross 1 and 2. Shahin and Patterson 3rd in the end. Solid points though for the Porsche team. Palakis and Ojeda, great job for the Harold's Valenti Rosso team. The Groves in 5th from the back of the grid. Brad Schumacher wins the AM class. Darren Curry wins Invitational in the Mark car, and Renee Gracie wins the Trophy class in position 15. Kumo V8 Touring Car Series up next here at Phillip Island. The Shannon's Speed Series program just under 6.5 minutes away for their 3rd and final race of the weekend. After that, the S5000 Australian Drivers' Championship. And speaking of open wheelers, it's not too long until that last Sunday in May, one of the most famous and thrilling events on the motorsport calendar. Our own Will Power will be there. Scotty McLaughlin will be at full speed, trying to add their names to the honour roll of the legends who have won at the famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The 107th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race coming your way exclusively live on demand right here on the home of IndyCar, Stan Sport.
The NTT IndyCar Series drivers head to the racing capital of the world for the chance to achieve racing immortality.